everybody, this is James, and I'm celebrating passing 300 subs on the channel. View from the Middle is currently sitting at either 312, 311, or 310 subscribers. It seems like YouTube can't make up its mind exactly how many there are, but it's somewhere over 300. So first, if you are new or if you've been around for a while, thanks for subscribing. To mark the occasion, I wanted to share a story my mother told me, but I'll get to that in a minute. First, I wanted to take a second to thank all the subscribers that are just here to support the channel. I think with our circle of channels supporting each other, it can be easy to forget that some people are just here as viewers. And I do the YouTube suggestions videos as a shout out to other channels, so I just want to take just a second to mention the subscribers that don't put out their own content and subscribe just to watch. At least those that have their subscriptions public. So, as I was going through the list, I was actually a little surprised that I had this many. And we really should recognize them. They subscribe without really expecting anything in return other than to watch the videos. Now, I did copy and paste for each of the names to make sure I didn't misspell anything. So if you're wondering why some of them are all caps or all lowercase, that's just the way their names appear on their page. But from Trevor DeLeo, and I hope I said that right, to Carl Kernhan, and I hope I said that right too. All these, well, most of these folks have not uploaded their own content but still support the channel. There are a couple that have a few videos but haven't posted in quite some time. So they're really not active, but they still come here as a viewer. Also, as I was getting these names, one of the last ones on the list was Mark Reyes. And I hope I said that right. It's throwing these names at me that I can't pronounce. All right, anyway, I remember him saying during someone's live stream that he was thinking about putting something up, starting to put out his own content. And as I got to his page, lo and behold, he had just started his first live stream a few minutes earlier, and he plans on doing more, so he will have content coming out. But I went ahead and put him on this list too. I'll also leave a link to his channel in the description if you want to check out his live stream, and he may have more up by now. But thank you to all of you, all of these folks for subscribing. I appreciate each and every one of you. Okay, one more thing before I get to the story. You may have noticed I'm putting up more content the last couple of days, and there is a reason for that. I kind of made reference to this in the Gainesville Outlet Mall video, and later I realized that I kind of made it sound more important than it really was. I don't mean to beat this monetization thing into the ground, but it is what got me started on this. I just want to see what the numbers look like for a small channel like this one if there is a new video posted every day. So every day this week I'm trying to put something up just to see the numbers. And I'm trying to make it where it's at least decent content. It's not just something I throw out there. But some of the math I did earlier, I think in one video I said if you get 30 people, if you average 30 people a day watching 15 minutes of content, you'll slip under the wire. Actually, you'll fall just short. That's what I get for trying to do math in my head. It's actually, you have to have, to hit the 4,000 hours of watch time in 12 months, you'd have to average 44 people watching 15 minutes a day. There's not a chance in the world I'm going to hit that. So this is not for me. This is not to test the waters to see if I can get monetized later. I'm not going to quit my job to do this full time. I'm not going to close down my business and do this. And that's pretty much what you'd have to do. This is no longer something to supplement your income. That's basically the position they put people in, is you have to be a full-time YouTuber to get 44 people a day watching at least 15 minutes worth of content on average. But I just wanted to see what the numbers look like. I won't be able to do this all the time, putting something up every day, but I do have a few days off work, so I'm doing it now. I did miss Monday because I didn't get the idea until Tuesday. But since I did kind of unusually post something on both Saturday and Sunday, I figure 6 out of 7 days gives a good enough indication. So, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but I have a couple of videos I've kept in my pocket. And I'm going to post one of those tomorrow to fill out the week. So I just wanted to put that out there. Alright. I did have another idea for marking 300 subs. But shortly into it, I figured out it wasn't going to work. And this may seem like an odd way to celebrate 300 subs or to mark 300 subs. But it's one of my favorite stories my mother told me, and I thought some of you might enjoy hearing it. And it was also the only paranormal story my mother ever told me. So maybe that'll pique your interest. Okay, my mother was born in Menard, Texas in March of 1941. And she was only about 8.5 months old when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and the United States entered World War II. My mother's uncle J.L. Bailey left to go overseas before my mother was even 1 year old, and he never came home. J.L. was killed during the Normandy invasion, and my mother never saw him in the flesh. Now, a few weeks after they got the news that J.L. had died in combat, my mother was about 3.5 years old, and that day her sister and her older brother had to go, well, it wasn't the day they got the news, but there was one day later on that her sister and her older brother had to go back to school, and so she sat outside with a ball. Now, Menard today isn't exactly a metropolis, but you can just imagine Menard in the mid-1940s. It was a very small town with a lot of wide open space. In later years, my mother still longed for the days when neighbors weren't right on top of you. There were several yards between houses back then, so plenty of places to play. But with everybody going back to school, she just didn't have anybody to play with. So as she sat outside with his ball, a man in a uniform walked up to her and asked her, "Would you like to play ball?" And she said she looked up at him and nodded. So he asked her to roll the ball to him, and she did. He stopped the ball and rolled it back to her, and the ball went up under her dress. And she started giggling, and she, dug around there and got the ball back out, and the man said, "Well, we can fix that." So he walked up and took her feet and stretched her legs out in front of her and then patted her dress down flat against the ground. So he took the ball and he backed up, rolled the ball to her, and the ball rolled up over her dress right to her, and she got a good kick out of that. So they rolled the ball back and forth for a little while, playing and laughing. Then her mother, my grandmother, came to the door and called her to come in. And my mother said she looked up at her and said, "But I'm playing ball." Granny said, "There's nobody to play ball with." And my mother said, "Yes, there is." And she turned to point at the man in the uniform, but he was gone. Several months later, by the time my mother had turned 4, the U.S. Army sent this picture, this exact picture. Of course, it was a bigger picture, but they sent this picture to my great-grandparents. And it was a black and white picture of J.L. and his wife Clarabelle that they had taken and had colorized. And the picture was taken before he shipped out. They put it in a really nice frame. By the time my mother saw it, they had already put it up on the wall. And before anybody could even say anything to her about who it was, she pointed at it and said, "That's the man I played ball with." Her grandfather, my great-grandfather, asked her what she was talking about, and she tried to tell him that he came and played ball with her, but Granny got upset about it and told her to stop telling stories. And Granny didn't believe her. Her grandfather took her outside, and they sat on the back steps. Now, this isn't a family picture here, by the way. It's the only thing I could find that fit the story. They sat on the back steps, and he asked my mother to tell him exactly what happened. So she told him the story and said, "But Mama doesn't believe me." She said her grandfather sat there silent for a little bit, and then he started nodding his head, and he said, "Well, I believe you." Now, years later, my mother was telling me this story, and she still seemed a little mad that Granny didn't believe her. But that was just Granny. Once she got set on something, nothing was going to change her mind. Now, my mother passed away almost 4 years ago, and I guess I just wanted to make sure the story went on, even beyond my years. So I decided to share it with you. It's not the most conventional celebration of 300 subs there has been, but if you want conventional, there's plenty of it out there. That's why they call it conventional. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that story. If you have one of your own, feel free to share it. Thanks again for subscribing. If you are new here and just stumbled upon this, please subscribe and check out the other videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.